Hello, hello, my friends. It is Hondo, and welcome back to the Knights of the Nerd Republic.
The Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Sorry, y'all, I kind of Eli'd that intro. Hello there, and welcome back to Knights of the Nerd Republic, the show where your favorite nerds talk all things about the galaxy far, far away. I am back from a far-off planet in the Outer Rim called Baton Rouge, and we are here to talk about these two most recent episodes of The Mandalorian. And I thought, why not do a smaller, more intimate episode with just one person on the docket other than myself? And I thought, who better than to have on than the man I got to watch these episodes with and the guy who beat me in our rematch, Scotty Jayro of the Bombad Cast.
I dropped my cigar, my winning cigar, the cigar that I got from when I kicked your ass in trivia for a second time. Just keep that in mind, everyone watching. The second time, all prompted by him every time, and I got a wedding band to prove it. We got jewelry if you won, and I won the wedding.
That's your rematch victory ring?
Match. And I won, because it's humble, unlike you. So it's nice and wholesome. It's a double-edged, it's literally called a nice edge ring, which kind of symbolizes the idea of, me being a great person and being a trivia king. So,
real quick, just to make sure the audience is on the same page with us on a couple things, would you like to show everybody your victory totem?
So he's dead now.
That is use the correct hand here. That is the Epic Confrontations Cookie Cop.
Yep.
We still have our lovely Eldritch mascot. I only say this because not only did I get a couple concerned messages, one of them came from our very own Spence the Mando Simpson, and I wanted to make sure everybody was in the know. The Cookie Cop, the real Cookie Cop, is alive and well. That one was a stunt Cookie Cop in the event that I lost to Scotty.
He literally ate my hammer. Look at this. You can see where the speaker was. Look how this is so demented. This is behind the cookie. Yeah. And like Cookie Cock.
Let me full screen you.
I called him Cookie Cock just now, but I just love that he has been so defeated. I never forget when I shook it and his eyebrows like waved for a second, his actual eyelids. But now let's see if we can get a high resolution shot of it. There you go. That's so freaky. I mean, this is so. That
is the scariest Cookie Cop has ever looked.
Yes,
is dead.
And you can look. It's almost like one of those illusions where you move something. Watch. Looks like a burn victim. Anyway, pretty brutal. Look at this. Wow, unbelievable. Yeah, this is what you get. By the way, if you talk smack and you can't really fall through with it. So I will say, Jared, to give you this a public appeal here.
Out of kayfabe, out of the characters. We don't have to maintain.
We were shot for shot against each other, and I honestly couldn't thank you enough for that. That you were that worthy of an opponent. That you made that rematch as, how do I put this? You made this rematch worth it, because it could have been a sweep on my part, or it could have been a sweep on your part, but we were pound for pound. It was like really good boxing. That's how it felt, being able to have a rematch with you. So,
no, it was my pleasure, as was everything else that happened this weekend that I won't get too schmaltzy over. But like I said, we had the pleasure of watching The Mandalorian this week these past 2 weeks together.
Unbelievable.
And we're going to talk all about these 2 episodes. But first, we have a word from our lovely sponsors at SundaysBloodyMary.com. You guys know the drill by now. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the galaxy. I have had myself quite a few Bloody Marys over the course of my trip to Baton Rouge. And let me tell you, none of them stand up to the test of Sunday's Bloody Mary. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Shit, goddamn fuck. But they have their 3-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes. They also have their award-winning garnishes with their pickled dilly beans, okra, asparagus, and their rim salt, as well as some fun Bloody Mary tomato-themed merch. So get on over to sundaysbloodymary.com/shop. Use code TNAP, TNAP at checkout, and get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it.
There we go.
Naya is going apeshit. So while the little one barks up a storm, I'm going to throw to you, Scott. Overall thoughts, getting to watch The Mandalorian together, but B, on Guns for Hire, our first episode on the docket today.
Fantastic. I guess fantastic and weird. Felt like you were reading a very pulpy novel. Felt like you were reading an EU novel with the characterizations and kind of even the plot. You know, it felt a little bit like Daniel Jose Alder's Last Shot in terms of droid sentience and overall just kind of Epcot-y vibes. It was weird. It was very much an episode of The Mandalorian. I don't think Andor is bold enough to do something as fun as that was, but I also think he gave a lot of credit to how these characters have changed and developed. You know, it gave Din his classic let's go on a mission plot, but it also gave them more time to build and grow together and as a relationship between Bo and Din, and to kind of even give us some really cool cameos and mystery. I guess you could say almost like a noir film. So
yeah,
not bad.
I really love the noir feel of it. You know, it felt not only I've seen a lot of Clone Wars comparisons, and it felt really prequel-y as well. And I mean that in both a good way and a bad way. You know, there was a lot of the aesthetic and that very George, we're just gonna take 18 different genres and put them in a blender and you're gonna love it. But it also kind of had a lack of focus that upon rewatch, upon kind of sitting with it, kind of starts to settle in. The premise is kind of confusing when you think about it for a little too long, with the whole we did hire an entire army of Mandalorians to handle this issue, but we need you two specifically.
That's the interesting thing is I think, was it a rite of passage almost?
I don't know if it was a rite of passage so much as it was I can rationalize we only need Din and Bo, as if we just have these 2 random Mandalorians all over the place, that's one thing. But if we have this entire army scouring the city, people are gonna catch wind that shit is really bad.
Yeah, sure.
And that it's kind of an element of we do not want to freak out the public until there is a reason for them to freak out.
Sure, of course.
Which I can rationalize it that way. But even then, I did, after thinking on it for a little bit, I do think they maybe have went a step too far with Din in his droid biases.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's come such a long way, and so much of this arc, this season for him has been about the way that he's been backsliding into his old ways with being with the Children of the Watch again.
Yeah.
And as much as I appreciate and understand that, I think the moments where he gets really weirdly aggressive with everyday droids felt out of character.
That's true.
I get the moments where he's practically jumping a battle droid.
Yeah.
I get that. I get how that instantaneously triggering that must have been for him. And again, I can rationalize that in that moment, he's not thinking about IG-11. He's
not at all.
Thinking about watching all of the people he grew up with get gunned down by B1s and B2s and droids.
And finishing a mission. And finishing a mission.
Yeah, we're on a mission and, we don't have time to be clean about it. And also he's having this super triggering experience. I can understand all of that. But the moment he starts waggling a blaster in that bartender's face, I was this feels like season 1.
Yeah.
It feels like we've lost so much character.
Yeah.
And again, it's a little moment, and I do think this episode, for those very few warts, it does soar for the most part. Again, we were talking about the aesthetics. You know, the cameos were something that like Lizzo was seamless. Jack Black, actual cameos. This is a cameo.
These are cameos.
I want everybody. I've said this earlier this season about Zeb. I want everybody who uses the word cameo like it's the word to take in what a cameo is.
Yes.
Because from now on, you are going to tell me that something like Zeb having like a line of expository. Expository. Richard did not like this episode. He's yelling at me. Having an expository line of dialogue, or like a fun, as Jerry the Cannon Junkie put it, Muppet Show style celebrity cameos with Jack Black and Lizzo.
Yeah.
That like those were on the same level of importance to the plot as Ahsoka or Luke or Cobb Vanth or Boba Fett. Like, I just want everybody to remember you're putting those two things on those multitudes of things on the same level.
And they're clearly not.
They're
clearly not.
So clearly not. But I will say the only issue I had cameo-wise was Jack Black at first. At first. And I know you've heard me say this 1,000 times over the past 2 weeks talking about the episode. But when we first meet him, he's doing the like, if you're gonna be hardcore, you gotta live hardcore. He's doing like the Jack Black voice.
Sure.
And that was so fucking distracting at first.
Yeah.
That super took me out for that split moment. Now, would I have been taken out regardless upon seeing Jack Black and Lizzo in a Star War? Probably.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, is it maybe good that I got hit like a freight train to then like for the come down to be a little bit easier?
Yes.
Perhaps. There was something about like that getting hit like a freight train with the type Jack Black voice that I think like maybe was like jumping into the deep end, and then like once he calmed down, you're like, okay, cool, I'm back in. I didn't have a single issue with Christopher Lloyd, and I think part of that is because Christopher Lloyd is such a character actor.
We also knew though, Jared. We also kind of
we didn't know Lloyd was coming. We didn't know Lloyd was coming at some point, whereas Jack Black and Lizzo, complete surprises.
Yes.
Now, I think if they had cast like a not Jack Black, I don't know how surprised I would have been by just Lizzo.
That's the thing. It was nice to have a double hit there.
Yeah.
To me. Because it felt like a hit. It felt like a 1-2 punch. Because you literally get boom, boom, and then you get all of a sudden Jack Black being Jack Black with by the way, we didn't say this, an entire table full of aliens, no humans.
Yes.
Which I loved. It was all creatures. It was all over the top. It was all very pretty. The guards with like the half stormtrooper suits on. All that.
Yeah,
was
it looked like
cool.
a hodgepodge of like Imperial and Republic armor, which was really neat.
It was awesome.
It was dope.
It was sick. No, I was kind of excited to see them being that fun with costumes. Because, you know, we always get good costumes in Star Wars, but like the actual feel of that whole scene was fun. It felt like something from not even the Phantom Menace, like Attack of the Clones. Like it felt really weird. It was the vibe was so strange, and Bryce Dallas Howard has been really good at channeling that vibe literally since I could say Book of Boba Fett. I mean, that whole episode was like a nod to the Phantom Menace and early 2000s sci-fi. So watching this was like, okay, here's some more on that. We've got the Blade Runner dystopia. You've got the, I guess, utopian, really. The Blade Runner feel of that episode. There was some of the really cool parts, like the whole concept of droid sentience was really kind of cool. So I agree.
Yeah, this is another, and it's really funny because, like, I've mentioned this on the pod before. You know, Taylor and I, you know, I've been showing her the Clone Wars. We haven't had a chance to really watch it super recently. But like Taylor's big thing every single episode is that she's like going back and forth between being super like weirded out by the ethics of both sides of the war.
Yeah.
She's like, these droids oscillate between states of sentience.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need me to explain to you, the audience, how the clone army is ethically questionable.
Oh, very bizarre. I agree.
So like this episode then cranks it up several notches and then gets into this like really weird place of like where they go to a bar when they get off work. So
Mhm.
like they want to emulate this very human, like, just got off work, gonna go kick it at the bar type thing.
So weird. Yeah.
But like they're all in the know that the booze that they're drinking, for audio listeners is just in very big air quotes, is a software update with
So weird.
nanodroids in it.
So weird.
That is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Then then the B2 that they gunned down is taken to a droid morgue.
Yep. And you see him pull out the tray.
They pull out the tray, like there's like the I just watched. I try not to do this before I do a review, but I couldn't help myself any longer. I watched Alex at Star Wars Explained his review, and it was like instead of like a matchbox, it was the Spark box. Like again, they're like very very much tapping into that noir aesthetic.
Yeah.
That was just so fascinating and pegs so many hard to parse through questions that like I don't. Like we have a whole other episode where we lost one of our main characters. So like maybe we don't have time to unpack all the ethical questions of droid sentience that have basically been asked since 1977. Because it's always been weird. This has always been a very strange element of Star Wars. Hell, you go to like 1980, like the moment we heard that Gonk droid scream out in pain while he was getting his feet burned in Jabba's palace.
Yeah,
I think there's been a level of what the fuck was that?
Weird. Yeah,
what the fuck is going on? Can someone please explain to me what's happening?
I agree.
So all of that to say, this is a fantastic episode. I got my biggest treat it's a double-edged sword. I got to hear Christopher Lloyd say the words Count Dooku.
He freaked out. I can tell you all, whenever this happened live, we were both freaking out, like hitting each other and stuff. He was sitting right next to me. He was on my left. Taylor was on my right. And like we were enjoying ourselves watching it. But that part in particular, or
separatist is a pejorative term.
And he stands up and he's like shaking a little bit. And you and I talked about this on Bombad, but like it made me kind of sad to see him like so old, Not that it's a bad thing. He's just an older guy now, and you just kind of have to accept it. And that being said, he did that role so well. He was still Christopher Lloyd. It still was so well acted. I would love to see the BTS from that. And they're gonna have some. They have to have some. I can't wait for it.
I know. I'm super pumped for the gallery this year, but like I was just double-edged sword because I have made it a point on the internet for the past few months to get on my in a different story, the separatists are the good guys soapbox.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, like we got a character in the Mandalorian saying separatist rights.
Yeah.
But like everything that Bombardier Jack Black and Duchess Lizzo did.
Yeah.
For what was even the name of the planet? It sounded like a Star Wars parody name.
I can't remember.
I remember that. Luzok 13 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like literally the planet may as well have been called Glup Shitto.
Yeah.
But like my real world politics, like I'm cheering like the whole time. It is this. It's like my real world politics. I'm like it's this like fucking anti-work communist utopia where people only do the jobs they want to do. Yes. And I'm like, oh, like these are my real world politics.
Yeah.
Why does Hellgate, this Count Dooku stand, not like this?
Yeah.
Because this was the essence of anti-republic.
Uh-huh.
As the republic was kind of this capitalist hellscape.
Uh-huh.
But the Separatist Alliance also was like a capitalist hellscape where a separatist army was controlled mostly by corporations. The politics of this episode, not unlike The Convert, were very confusing.
I agree. I liked it.
But yeah, it was just
it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice, Jared, to see how different planets are running without the overarching nature of the New Republic. And that's what
Yes.
I enjoyed is I'm watching this. I'm going, okay, so every little planet we've been to has their own form of what they believe is their central government. And they don't have to answer anyone better or anyone below them. So like them being involved, not really with the New Republic was nice, but they also didn't want to have reason for the New Republic to be involved. So I like that, right? Then
Yeah.
you've also got, Navarro, which is the opposite end of it, where they need the New Republic's help, but they're not on the radar of them. So fuck it, they're not going to be involved. So like it's so interesting, and like here we are now with Mandalore being retaken, which we'll get into. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but it's the
No, it's okay.
same principle of who's politically in charge versus what is the best way to be in charge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree. And I will say, like, and for every like kind of like tiny complaint, they're not even necessarily tiny, but for every complaint I have about this episode, it charmed my pants off so hard that like I was like, I'm still having so much fun. I'm not that upset about it.
Exactly.
One thing, however, that after getting what we now know is the penultimate episode of the season, I do not like how Bo's ownership of the Darksaber happens.
Oh, so you don't like the Elder Wand
I like
movement?
I don't mind the Elder Wand rules necessarily. Part of me, like, I think you could have done something more climactic if you didn't just do the whole like horrifying dungeon creature.
That's true.
Like beats the hell out of Din. She kills it. That's fine. I don't really have a problem with the how so much as how it's depicted.
Yeah.
Now knowing like what we're headed into with this penultimate episode, that was so underwhelming.
Yeah. But
I
also
really thought more of the penultimate episode was going to be Bo being like, I held the Darksaber. I walk both ways. I that, leaning into everything the armor has been whispering in her ear.
Yeah.
That would have more payoff.
Yeah.
But instead it's just Din going, here, like, you technically deserve it. I was waiting for the right moment. Enjoy.
Yeah.
And then fucking off.
Yeah.
And like, what good does the Darksaber do her?
Exactly.
In the next episode, like obviously, like she carves her way out, and the Mandalorian is able to escape because of that. But like now with this hindsight, what like Paz and Axe Woves start beefing, Grogu had to break it up. She couldn't just like turn on the Darksaber, and basically go, I am the Mandalore. Knock it the fuck off. She couldn't do that. You know, she didn't. Again, like, not that I'm complaining of there's not enough lightsabers in this show that was never really promised to have lightsabers, but like she didn't use it in combat very much, especially in close quarters when fighting those super commandos. That probably would have come really in handy. Doesn't happen there. What was the point of her having the Darksaber? Like aside, and again, you get the beat with her and Gideon.
Yeah.
Of the explanation that, this is how shit went down with her and Gideon. And I was surprised to learn that. I truly thought Gideon just like she caught a fade from Gideon and lost it fair and square. And they went from there. I loved the idea that Bo-Katan, this like kind of like pig-headedly like Mandalore, taking back Mandalore at all costs person, especially after we saw her in her youth with Death Watch, was willing to make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
And was willing to like sacrifice her honor, in many ways as like a Mandalorian warrior in the name of protecting her people and her planet. And that was an amazing character beat for her. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. But like here in this moment, we see her fight Axe Woves a little bit, and then they break up the fight. And then Din goes, yeah, well, you beat that guy who beat me, so here. And that guy was Mandalore for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, it's going to get into here a little bit. This does also create a really interesting situation of the like the other direction of the Elder Wand issue.
Okay, which is
So if we maintain the Elder Wand logic,
Yeah.
Maul kills Pre Vizsla. Darth Sidious defeats Darth Maul.
Maul.
Now, Darth Maul maintains ownership of the Darksaber after.
Mm-hmm.
So now we end up in this like fun little thing where Darth Maul may own the Darksaber, but Darth Sidious is the rightful owner.
Yeah.
Darth Sidious is killed by Anakin Skywalker,
Mm-hmm.
who is technically just bested by Luke Skywalker. So Luke Skywalker is the Mandalore and dies as Mandalore.
Yeah.
Unless you say that Kylo Ren defeated Luke on Ossus, so therefore Kylo Ren dies Mandalore. But no, Rey beats Kylo Ren on Kefir, so Rey Skywalker is also Mandalore.
Mandalore. Yeah.
Or we go the other route, where we end up in the same fucking place.
Yeah.
Where you go, Darth Maul maintains the Darksaber, so we'll keep calling him Mandalore. Even though Sidious beat him,
Yeah.
he still retains it. Sabine Wren steals it from him,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not lost in combat, so it's stolen. So he still has the title of Mandalore. Darth Maul is killed by Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Obi-Wan Kenobi spends the rest of his exile as Mandalore and is killed by Darth Vader, who then becomes the rightful heir to Mandalore. Who is then defeated by Luke Skywalker, who is pieced up by Kylo Ren on Ossus at the temple,
Mm-hmm.
who is beaten in single combat by Rey Skywalker twice.
Yeah.
Pick whichever time you want that to be.
Yeah.
And then
it's kind of like me with trivia, you know, being you.
Oh man! All right, I didn't have the clips handy, so we're just gonna run.
Maybe
this.
I'll walk out of here tomorrow and you never see me again. That's really what I want to do.
Oh, I got to get an extended version of that now. Anyway, but yeah, I also just think it's funny, like the Elder Wand rules with the Darksaber. If you want to be incredibly anal about it, make all of this very funny. That Rey Skywalker, favorite character of fanboys of the universe over, is also
the rightful heir
from a certain point of view. But we're getting into very like, you know,
you. I was a Jarod thing. I could give a bigger shit.
The episode, royal we.
I could give a bigger shit who has the saber. All I know is it ends up with Bo-Katan and that she barely uses it. So maybe that's a testament to who she is. Maybe that's the proof that she doesn't need to have the saber to rule Mandalore.
Or maybe it's a sign of her reverence for it.
Yeah, because she
will not use it as a simple weapon unless she has to.
Not at all. And I also think that like when she has to rely on it, it does become something that maybe is a crutch to her. Like we still are promised, not really promised, but we have still been visually given the idea that the Mythosaur will return in the finale episode. But then again, we don't know. We're not sure. Is that what, you know, kills Gideon? And that's actually a really good question. Is Gideon finally dying? Are we going to finally see his death? Because I kind of want that, if I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't know if I want Gideon to die yet. I really, really like the idea that Gideon gets killed by Thrawn.
Really? So he's the...
I hate how much Harry Potter keeps coming up.
It would raise the stakes, though. It would, to make Thrawn a much bigger villain. For those that don't know him.
For those who don't know him, for him to get that kind of like Snape treatment, where like right at the end, they're like, "Oh, you want to know how much of a sack of like bad motherfucker shit Voldemort is?"
Yeah,
with Snape
destroyed.
Same thing. Kill one of have your big bad. Kill one of the lesser villains.
Exactly.
I mean, maybe the Snape thing's a bad comparison, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, no, I really do like the idea that Thrawn takes out Gideon, and that real quick because we're going to be moving into the Spies now.
Yeah.
I do want to say one other piece of connective tissue between these two episodes that I love is Axe Wove's favorite move is to like try to like do this from the top rope knee stunner with his jetpack.
Every time I always do the knee out.
It's so funny. I said this when we were watching the episode. I said I love how everybody in Bo-Katan's crew, like when they're doing like a hand-to-hand fist fight with other Mandos, like it turns into the WWE for them.
Every time. I do
Like
really
Axe
enjoy that.
Woves, every other move when he's fighting Bo-Katan, he's trying to climb something so he can just turn on his jetpack and just like this like Beskar elbow from the sky.
My thing with the Spies, obviously, you and I had the privilege to watch this one together, and having the whole car ride to New Orleans to drop you off at the airport and discuss it. We really did take pretty much the whole car ride to talk about it and look at it. One thing that I keep coming back to is after I dropped y'all off, I came home and I rewatched the first 8 minutes again. And then later, before I fell asleep, a little nap, I watched the first 8 minutes again. Those first 8 minutes, maybe my favorite cold open in all of Star Wars, because of the world and lore building around the sequel trilogy, around the actual Imperial era, which we haven't gotten. We've gotten a lot of rumors of like, oh, we're going to see the movement to the First Order. But now in this scene alone, you get the actual like answers, what they're working on, Project Necromancer, what they're trying to assemble and do, what their motives are between, being kind of a smaller group that no one knows, and then an actual group of people that are going to control the galaxy again. So I'm watching this intro, and I watched it again for the fourth time, just the intro, and the full episode after that for today. But I watched it, and I'm like, this is so freaking cool. Like, this is kind of what I liked about Andor. I like knowing what movements led to certain mistakes.
Oh,
or what
like the it's totally like the ISB conferences.
Oh my god, yes. But I love that. I love how catty they are. But also, we get huge drops. You get Pelion actually getting a visual appearance, unlike the one moment in Rebels where you hear where Thrawn goes, "Captain Pelion." That's about it. You know what I mean? I was god damn, like I was just so impressed with the Brindle Hux moment to Commandeer Hux, and like how Pelion and Hux are in control. I love that. They're the ones with the supplies, and they're supplying everyone else from probably the Outer Rim. So like, or unknown regions. I was just like, this is. We could have used a Ray Sloan reference. We could have used a couple of other small references, but other than that, or Project Cinder or some sort of message about that. I know we got it in season 2.
Yeah, well, we also got that like name drop of this like Operation Necromancer.
Yes.
Which, like, pardon me, maybe it's a little on the nose, but I feel like is dead nuts.
Just a little.
The operation on Exegol. But even then, like, I so badly want to know, what do they know?
Exactly. They probably don't know much either.
Like, something I found very interesting. A big part of this whole operation happening with the Shadow Council is the resurrection of Palpatine.
God, in the name
How much of that do they know is the resurrection of Palpatine? Like, they're like, oh, yeah, working on cloning, specifically cloning of Force Sensitives. And they're like, you're taking supplies away from Operation Necromancer. And that's the moment I went, has Gideon been doing his own satellite thing with like cloning Grogu?
Mm-hmm.
Because
he had to have been.
Huh?
I watched it for a fourth time. It is that he's trying to undermine more Imperials to do that. And that was a great reveal. Because nothing ever felt official. Like whenever you see Gideon doing his stuff.
Like it's all part of this bigger project, but like Gideon's orders aren't bring Sidious back to life.
No.
Or maybe they are. Like that's the thing that I love so much about this and about like this era of like the Imperial remnant is like by the time of the sequel trilogy, none of the First Order higher ups who are all either young bucks during this era or nepo babies of the people who are the big movers and shakers right now.
Yes.
Have any fucking clue what is going on with the Sith.
Nope. God, that's so nice.
When you when you go back, like again, like think back to the Rise of Skywalker. There's that one First Order officer who's like, these Sith cultists who are cultists kind of just showed up out of the fucking blue. I don't know how I feel about this. And that from the you go, oh, so like that's how deep Sidious's plan ran. Where you come here and you go, how much do these guys fucking know?
It's so cool.
Was someone like Brendel tight-lipped?
God, that's why I love this. And like, you know what else I looked at was the costumes And like, obviously, something to be said about it. Like, if you look at Brindle Hux's costume, if you pull it up, if you look at it right now, Jared, if you could pull it up, not on this stream, obviously, but if anyone watching wants to pull it up, he is wearing straight up almost identical to a First Order uniform. It's like just the way the subtleties of design they decided to go with it. Like, all of it's intentional. It just shows, and it's, I don't mean to be this way, but it just shows how much attention John and Dave are paying, like, to those kind of intricacies, or whoever
Oh,
helps showrun
absolutely,
it.
yeah.
It's crazy, Jared. It's like it's like exactly to a T what let's see. It's exactly what, oh my god, like the feathered out, gear, the fact that everyone's wearing hats, like, it
Yeah.
I love
Well, I
that
think it's
shit.
really interesting because, like, obviously the First Order uniforms don't have that much, aren't that different from the Imperial
No.
uniforms, but like that, like all black hat, trench coat,
Yep.
the cap, trench coat, very slim black outfit,
And I know you know the origin.
is
It
very
looks,
Hux.
it's like the Hugo Boss design for the Nazi uniforms. Like, if
Absolutely.
you look at that is a real thing. For those that do not know, that Hugo Boss, the famous designer, worked particularly on Nazi uniforms because it was a German-run company. So that being said, I'm watching this going, the subtleties of it. Pelion looking exactly like his novel, his counterpart to like the comics of Heir of the Empire.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Just this mustachioed, like Monopoly
Yep.
man looking motherfucker on the Shadow
Oh.
Council.
So good. He's got like a different almost insignia, it's like more blocky on his uniform. You could tell he's wearing like a lighter gray uniform, even in the hologram blue. And Gideon's
Yeah.
like, all black look. Like, I can talk about that opening for hours because
Absolutely. And the way that, again, like I said, I watched Alex's review and he's absolutely right. And I always say this is the reason why I do not listen to Alex or Force Center until after I record my review. Is because I feel like I'm biting off of them every other word I say, but it also is just that like perfect emblematic of the dark side moment where like not even Force user dark side, but just the bad guys, where everything is just some vehicle to undermine your ally, who deep down is your enemy. It's the rule of two, and it's the Shadow Council. Where everybody is like, we really got it. Everyone's like trying their best to really collectivize. And Gideon's like, yeah, well, where the fuck is Thrawn? Yeah, I'm like, I'm not really doing my own thing. Nobody here's doing their own thing. Everyone's like, yeah, totally.
Where is Thrawn?
Because all they know is all they're doing is their own thing to try to supplant the next guy. Because they're all terrified of Thrawn.
Yeah.
As they should be.
Yeah, as they should be. Heir to the Empire, as Ahsoka says.
Oh, fantastic.
Man.
But I fucking love Star Wars.
Man, I heard that,
and that's just the opener. That's just the opener.
Yeah,
where you have this, where you have this buffet of people just acting their asses off and being amazing bad guys, with the cherry on top being Giancarlo Esposito, just fucking bringing it. And then you get into the rest of the episode where you immediately get more of the division between the Mandalorians, in the way that and again, this is a thing that happens in the real world, where you will have your good guys in questionable motives across the board, with the Children of the Watch and the Armorer especially, that they all want the same thing, but they're too busy infighting. Meanwhile, even though they're all waiting for a moment to backstab each other, and I am aware to the audience that there's a massive beam of sunlight coming through my green screen. I just don't have any other time to record this with Scotty, so it's happening.
I like
now.
this.
So deal with it. There was one time we tried to record a Versus episode, and it was so much worse. I had like an angelic halo around.
Hell yeah, that's how it should be. It's shining through you. It's beautiful.
Well, I don't know about all that, but I'm turning face in Epic Confrontations. It's not that face.
Not that face.
Not that face. But while all of these good guys are arguing over about methodology and like the nuances between philosophy, even though the bad guys are waiting at the exact moment they can stab each other in the back, they are unified. They have solidarity. They have a shared vision that keeps them running like a well-oiled machine while the good guys are too busy eating each other alive. It's what Bo-Katan says and proves over the course of these 2 episodes. We as Mandalorians, Mandalore is unstoppable if it would not be for the fact that we would not stop trying to kill each other.
That's true. And they answer that. And you literally see that play out with the board game. Like shot for shot play out the board game.
Yeah, they literally start arguing about how the game is played. And in the same moment that you have Paz Vizsla being kind of like a, big dumb jock meathead, you have Axe Woves being a little like, I don't know what the bigotry, I don't know what the ist-or-ism is coming from him, but there's some ist-or-ism.
Oh, 100%.
He can't go, he cannot look at Din Djarin or Paz Vizsla for more than 30 seconds without going primitive, like it's a tick.
Primitive.
He can't keep himself from doing it, and like I said, like that's emblematic of like the real world, like left and right issues, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's tiny infighting going on the right, but like they know what laws they want to pass and they keep getting passed, and we can't make a motherfucking thing happen when we have power. No. It's like it is that same thing that, again, please keep telling me Star Wars isn't political. Well, that is just a one-to-one comparison. We see it in action here in real time. And I love that. I do truly love that. Scotty, who are the spies?
Yeah, that's the thing. The whole entire car ride yesterday morning, we were trying to figure out who the spies were. And I was excited to think about this on air with you here and being able to develop some more ideas in terms of just what that phrase can mean. We know Elia Kane is the first one, guaranteed. But you don't make it plural unless it's plural. And it's weird because...
And she's also only there for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, the very, 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 very beginning, which is probably one of my favorite openings of Star Wars, too. That shit was awesome. Like, true Blade Runner, like, through and through. Like, that opening with Cassian and Andor was like that, but this one did it so much more harder. So, here I am. I'm thinking to myself, well, we've got 2 suspects, right? We've got the armorer, which is suspect number 1, which I think Jared and I kind of determined might be our main suspect, but it is interesting.
Absolutely, it is.
But it also could be the owl, the night owls that ended up, showing up. Like Gideon could have paid them to do that, or could have paid in some way, take them here, or I don't know. I was kind of torn between who could it be, and I don't know if it's the armor at this point. I don't know.
It could also be all of them.
Yeah, you're right. It could be both. It could
and like both. My whole thing has been for a very long time that I think the armorer was descendant and is some part of the parts of Death Watch that stayed with Maul, because they basically confirm in this episode, with big part of my theories this whole time has been the people who stayed with Maul were clearly always the most radical to begin with.
Oh, every time.
Because
every time when we saw that.
It did not matter that, again, keep in mind, somebody like Axe Woves, their whole outlook on Din is he's not from Mandalore, therefore he's not Mandalorian.
Exactly.
And I don't want to say that like everybody who was in Death Watch who split after Pre Vizsla was murdered by Maul was like doing it for some weird like space xenophobia. That's definitely part of it, though. That's definitely part of it. This outsider took over Death Watch.
100%.
So whether it be for moral reasons, because obviously we know Bo-Katan was like, this is wrong, this is getting wronger by the day.
Yeah.
Okay, critical mass has been reached, and he just killed my sister. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
That you see the snowball effect for her. But like the people who watched Maul kill Pre Vizsla and rode with him, because they believe in that might makes right mentality.
Of course.
Like at the core of some interpretations of Mandalorian philosophy. So in culture. So you take that down. So you follow that logic of might makes right, and then you see how you have Imperials who end up being super commandos, and you see that you have people like Rook Cast and Gar Saxon who are fighting by Maul's side on Mandalore at the end of the Clone Wars. Also go on to be Imperial super commandos. I think it's weird that somebody with horns on their helmet,
I know,
keeps ending up with like lone survivor situations with their Mandalorian cult. I think it's incredibly suspicious that the Armorer is the lone survivor on Navarro among the Mandalorians who stuck around.
Yes.
Yeah,
Always
sure, we see her
interesting.
beating the shit out of stormtroopers. Since when have Imperial lives mattered when you're doing when you're doing some type of covert op?
Yeah.
You know, it's the same rationale with the Force Unleashed. You have to sell the deception. I don't care that there are stormtroopers on that ship. Kill them.
Yeah.
Because they can't know you work for us too.
Exactly.
So the Armorer splitting right before shit hit the fan. Like, did she have any way of knowing about the monster? Probably not.
No.
But like, she knew where they were heading. They knew they were going to go towards the forge, and they knew when they were going to get a trap sprung on them. And she knew if they make it past these super commandos, they're going to have to face Gideon. And if they make it past Gideon and the super commandos, how much advanced knowledge did she have about the Praetorian Guards? I don't know.
Exactly.
What I do know is in my opinion, she went into that knowing they're going to hit a roadblock eventually. And I just find it really suspicious that she's the only person who survived on Navarro.
Yeah.
With
that's it.
A hammer.
And Paz. That's it.
Paz wasn't on Navarro when they get there.
That's true. That's true. Paz is gone.
Paz isn't present. We only see Paz again in Book of Boba Fett. By the time we see him, he's in Book of Boba Fett. And does not seem to know a whole lot about what happened on Navarro other than Moff Gideon killed our men. Moff Gideon annihilated our covert. Night of 1,000 Tears.
It's like, but I like how much growth we've had with the Armorer, and we still don't have her real name. It's the only character. It's the one character everyone respects. So if that character turns, then it would be, I don't know, it would be a great twist of fate. But you also got to think of all the other threads we have to tie up. We have to tie up the Mythosaur. We've got to tie up the Armorer. Or not really. We have to tie up, Grogu getting IG-11's armor for the most part. What's he going to do with that armor? And also one big thing, we talked about this on the car ride home. I was saying how I know Grogu's getting shot in the chest next episode. Or he's gonna do a leap of faith. He has to.
Were very, very vehement about this.
But he has to. You don't set up for literally this entire, previous season with the chain link. And then again with the other chess piece, that whole scene where he's been jumping. He shows you that he can jump. Something's gonna go down with Din. Din's gonna have his helmet off. I don't know what it is, but Grogu's gonna jump right in front of him. Boom, and get blasted back. Get his shit rocked. Okay? That's what's gonna happen. You don't set all this up for that not to happen. At least that's how I feel. Like it's
certainly
very straightforward.
Oh, man, I'm not physically prepared for any of that.
They want us to freak the shit out. They do.
Probably you're definitely right.
Everything's on the table.
Everything is on the table. I mean, Din's the one who gets captured. Like we don't even know. And apparently it's Celebration. Like the this week's episode was screened. But also there was talk apparently about how the finale is going to loop back into Book of Boba Fett, which brings me to, I really think and hope that our Mandos are going to hightail it off world.
Yeah.
Maybe not leave orbit, but just get off world to be like, hey, shit's going left.
Yep.
We need to send out a call to Mos Espa.
Yep.
Hey, Boba, bring Fennec, bring Chrysanthemum, bring the mods, bring Vanth, bring shooters. It's time. We need to rock and roll.
Yep. As Din saved their place, Boba will then return the favor. And that was the part is this is the way. You really believe in all that stuff? And he's like, yeah, I do.
Then
And
we'll
like,
die in the name of honor.
yeah. So like, think about that, and then also think about the context of it being a finale. You know, like if anything, this show has always delivered on its finales, no matter what. It could be season 1, season 2, Book of Boba, now season 3. Like, it's always been a delivery on the finale, and we don't know how it's going to wrap up. We know that TIE bombers and interceptors are on the way. We know that for a fact. That was like guaranteed. But
Which also confirms that it was Gideon who
Yep.
carpet bombed Bo's,
Yep.
Bo's
Yep.
place.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder too, and like, this is just me, but how do you set up the next season, or how do you set up the next show, which is Ahsoka? The way you set it up is also throwing Thrawn in there in the equation. And I'm not trying to get my hopes up, but there's a reason that Celebration people saw Thrawn early and regular people here at home did not see Thrawn yet. There's a reason. I think it's because they're going to be like, here's a boy. Here's your boy. Here's what you've been waiting for.
My read on the Thrawn stuff is way more in the camp of like, if we see him post credit, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I think Thrawn is the natural conclusion to this story, or him having a role in it is a natural conclusion. I am not fully. I do not want to get my hopes up for them
That's
to
fair.
go that like full throw, full tilt boogie, on leaning into the Thrawn stuff, just because like it. We will finally begin to start to see what the big culminating story is supposed to be.
Yep.
But I am good news, which I will talk about in a minute off camera. Goodbye. Anyway, good riddance. But we see so much of like the Imperial plot, and I just like I don't know how much of it we see come to fruition here yet. Does that make sense? Like,
Sure.
Like how much of this is going to be like an excursion? How much is this going to be like one of those small losses the Empire suffered so much at the beginning of the Galactic Civil War? Or is this going to be like them just skating out by the skin of their teeth? Is it going to be like shooters show up in exfil Din, or are we gonna like bring this like hidden facility on Mandalore down? Because that is one of the darkest things we have seen from Moff Gideon, bar none, is that he has been hiding on Mandalore this entire time. And like when they got a little bit further into the Great Forge, and it was looking less and less cavey and more and more like, as I pointed out, like kind of looked like Zepho in Fallen Order when you really get into the guts of Zepho. I saw like hashtag Star Wars crates against the wall and went, oh my God, this is Gideon's base.
And that's where they've been the entire time. Think about it.
He's been hiding on Mandalore. That is so fucked up. Like, and he literally, you could tell that Gideon truly sees himself as like the next emperor. It's exactly what Sidious did.
Yeah.
He set up shop in the Jedi Temple.
In the heart of the place that it's of the area he destroyed.
He's like,
cool.
I annihilated the Jedi, and I'm gonna steal your house too. I killed you and I took your house. And it's exactly what Gideon's doing. I annihilated Mandalore, and now here I sit in what is ostensibly the beating heart of Mandalorian culture, the Great Forge.
So good.
That is so fucked up.
So good.
It's
ridiculous.
Great. That is vile, and I love it. He is such a fantastic villain.
And it's cool too. They had the which I think will play into it next episode. I really do think it will. But there was that that spot where it had the Phantom Menace gates, the red laser.
The laser gates.
Man, was that brilliant or what? With Gideon walking through it, and those Beskar stormtroopers, amazing. And of course, the sequel trilogy tie-ins, Jarrett, with the Praetorian Guards, man. So good.
It was such an amazing send-off for Paz Vizsla.
It was.
Who, again, as Alex Damon, and I think Force Center have touched on this as well, is like how hit or miss the phrase "this is the way" is.
Yes.
That like within the narrative, that this is the way can be a moment of like when Din like say or where Din like personally hands Ragnar back to Paz.
Yep.
Who, oh good God, Ragnar, I'm so sorry.
I
But
know. That's a bummer.
but when Din hands Ragnar back to Paz, thank you. This is the way. This is the way.
Mhm. So
All the way
good.
up to like, hey, none of us are actual people with faces. This is the way. Have fun eating up the fire by yourself. Or this is the way when some weird cult shit happens.
Yep. It's a weird culture.
All of those, this is the ways, and we get two more. This is the way. I am here to protect my fellow Mandalorians.
That's right.
That is the solidarity. That is the armor. That is the not toxic version of Mandalorian society at its finest.
Look,
Seeing Paz lay down his life. There's Johnny Boy.
There's John Favreau as Paz.
This man went so ham with that minigun, he melted that motherfucker.
That was so awesome.
He melted his blaster and then beat him to death. The rest of them. He just said, I have no more blaster. It is just hands.
It's just hands. That's it.
It is just hands for the rest of you.
And the Praetorian Guards, though, dude, took him down real quick. He literally dragged that blade inside of him just to get a hand on the Praetorian Guard.
Yeah,
Woo!
Absolutely.
So are the Praetorian Guards now, okay, obviously we know from TLJ what their impact is to protect Snoke. So are the Praetorian Guards, and like there's something you can obviously order. Are they like those, what do you say this? Are they like those Imperial Guards from the EU that were like given lightsabers, or what were those EU
Imperial Knights.
Imperial Knights, that's it.
So the thing with the Imperial Knights is that
right now.
The Imperial Knights were kind of like Inquisitors insofar as they were all Force sensitives who served the Empire. But if memory serves, like the Fell Empire in Legacy is not like the Galactic Empire of the OT era. So like to actually answer your question, I don't know. Yeah. I think that at this stage, the Praetorian Guard, it feels experimental because their armor isn't quite what it is in The Last Jedi.
No.
And they feel like so weirdly experimental that they have to be some type of special forces thing, that by the time they perfect the armor, perfect the weaponry, perfect the training, perfect everything we see in the Last Jedi, that they could be nothing but a personal security detail,
which could be the
highest up.
Yeah. God.
But like even then, like just their being there is such a crazy choice.
So cool.
That I love.
So cool. And their helmet design looking more knightish, you know?
Yes.
They have the protection on the middle, but the eye slits up and oh man. And the fact that like Gideon has his own armor now too, like you said earlier, with the horns. It's just where are we going?
Where are we going? And it is such a good testament again to like Gideon's like this god complex that he has. What does Pershing say about the Dark Troopers? The final flaw to be removed was the soldier in the suit. So now they're battle droids.
Yeah.
What does Gideon say about his Dark Trooper armor? The final improvement one could make to the Dark Trooper is for me to be in it.
Yep.
That is not a well-adjusted person.
Not at all.
Like that is as villain shit can villain. Like, oh my God, Gideon is so like. Part of me, every time we see Gideon, my knee jerk is like, I wish he was in more of this fucking show.
That's the thing.
Giancarlo Esposito is so good, but part of his allure is how little we see of him. And when we do see him, how much of just a lowdown, just rat fuck he is. Like, we don't get much from him in season 1 other than like, it's Giancarlo Esposito, so he's kind of scary. Season 2, we see him try to like goad Din into turning his back. We see him.
Mhm.
I'm not going to say he threw his fight with Din,
Mm-mm.
but like when he realized he was beaten, he realized that he could still win by way of making Din and Bo fight.
Yes.
We see the terror in his eyes when he sees Luke Skywalker here to save the day. Which again, just everything I said about Keller and Beck, that like the hero is here to protect the children, and it scares the shit out of the big bad.
Yep.
I love that. And then we see he'd rather die than truly be captured. But he is
Exactly.
captured at the end of the day, and he still gets saved. The Beskar alloy clearly is Super Commando.
Alloy.
But now we're here, and on top of everything else we've seen, there's also that level of hubris that he's willing to fuck with Thrawn.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of being willing to fuck with Thrawn, he believes his own hype so hard. What was the final way to improve the Dark Trooper? Me. What a crazy person. What an amazing villain. And again, like you pointed out, he's got those Mandalorian horns.
That's right.
I don't think that is an accident.
Nope.
I do not think that is by accident.
His theme is so good. His theme is so good.
Oh yeah. It's
God.
so I also loved when we saw him the way it was kind of like interwoven with the Dark Trooper theme.
Yes.
We got that with like that dubstep.
Yeah.
Like they really wove together when we see him in his like dark Mando armor.
God, it's so good.
This episode was incredible. Like I said, I'm so excited to see where it goes. Almost every episode this whole season, I have been up at 3 a.m. to watch, and like this finale is absolutely no different.
Nope.
I need to see it the moment it happens.
I agree. Waking up early for this one. I'm excited.
I know. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is I can't watch it with my buddy.
I know. Hey, look, at least we got to share this moment together, what we just discussed. And of course, the past week of memories, I guess past 10 days almost of memories.
Yeah.
So I'm elated just to be able to reflect on those moments too. We got to see the Jack Black silliness episode of that episode. Then you've got the ultimate, I guess almost semi-finale of this one. So I don't know. I love that I got to share these moments with you, and of course I love you deeply. And this has been fun. We've hung out a lot deeply, these past like 10 days.
Truly love you.
Madly love you.
But yeah, I think that's all we have.
You have a clip.
Quick little bit of housekeeping that you guys might hear from me earlier because there was commotion going on around me. I'm gonna have to carve up the episode a little bit. So if I forget to say this at the intro, then I'm going to cut in now. There's going to be a Star Wars Celebration recap. It is either going to be live streamed today when you're watching this, or it's going to come out on Sunday. One of those two things is true. And if you look at the YouTube channel and there's a scheduled stream, you know which it is. I'm still waiting on a word back from some friends who are at Celebration. The plan is for Scotty to be on. And I'm not going to say anybody else because I'm still waiting to hear back from them.
Yes.
But hopefully it's going to be me, Scotty, some folks who are at Celebration themselves, and to see who else is able to join us. We will see. But in the meantime, Scotty, not like anybody needs to. What was that? You say it a little louder, Johnny?
Stay Bombad.
Taylor is literally wearing her Bombad Cast shirt right now.
That's right. I bet she is. She knows who the winner is. My sweet Taylor.
He said, "My sweet Taylor."
For
those of you at home, for eagle-eyed viewers of the Nerd Academy podcast, you will recognize that as the shirt that I had to buy from Scotty as my punishment for losing the first fucking time.
It's amazing.
That's a word for it. Scotty, anybody who is not familiar somehow where can the lovely people find you and what you do?
You can find me, of course, at the Bombad Cast with my new trivia championship ring. I am the host of I'm the co-host of the Bombad Cast, and we've been covering a lot of the Mandalorian and streams. We've got one coming out Thursday about this most recent episode, chapter 23. We've got one next week, chapter 24, with Chris Ryons, Dan Miller, and of course the wonderful Adam Frazier. So we've got some things in the works coming up as well. We'll be covering Ahsoka, obviously. We'll be covering some May the 4th stuff, hopefully with McGruff the crime dog. That's been neither confirmed nor denied, so that's not a joke. I wish that was me joking, but that is not a joke. Anyway, I'm happy to be here, Jared. Thank you. We got to share the last week together in Baton Rouge. We may even do a special live stream about that. I don't know. I'll figure that out next week. But anyway, this has been great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to see some more of you in the near future. And remember, always, I'm the winner. Let me show you your king, my talisman, if you will.
Oh, yes. We need to. Hold him off to the side a little bit so we can see your face, too. Just so this is on the record for the Nerd Academy for forever. How's it taste? What's it taste like?
Like victory.
Yeah, I saw that one coming. You guys can find me losing to Scotty twice in a row, and on Twitter and Instagram at DarkJedi2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and on our website, www.thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you're feeling generous, you can donate to our Patreon. Give me $1. Speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Keandre Lloyd. Hold on, I lost this clip. Where did it go? Too far away, I can't see it.
Eli.
There we go. Keandre Lloyd, shut the fuck up. Now, Scotty, I don't know if you've been on TNAP since we added that clip.
No, that's a wild one. What is that?
Did you see what happened? This is the second time we get to do this, folks. I want you to watch like where the light on the movie screen is centered very closely.
Still couldn't tell it was. No.
There's a guy doing a backflip in the audience. Now you do that the next time you start crying at a movie trailer.
Yeah, might as well.
And to our other $10 patron, guys, we have a new clip. Thank you to our $10 patron, Paco. Or, as he's going by now on our Patreon,
Love you, Paco.
Trivia King, Scotty Jayro.
Bombad.
Now, that's your neighbor, right? Paul Stanley?
That's my neighbor. You hung out with them after you
Paul
lost.
and I had a conversation after our match. He had
What did he say?
He was very disappointed in me.
Yeah.
As everybody is, for what happened with Cookie Cop and everything. But he straightened me out, and I'm still walking funny.
Still walking funny. A lot of spray paint was involved.
A lot of spray paint was involved. But like I said, everybody, be sure to stay tuned. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel. Keep an eye on just our social media. Like I said, I'm not sure if our celebration recap is going to be live streamed or if it is just going to be uploaded as a regular episode. I'm not 100% sure yet. Either way, it will end up on the podcast feed. So people who only listen to this show, whom I don't understand how you only listen with the amount of visual bullshit that happens anymore. But to the audio people, you will get the episode regardless. It just may or may not be happening live tomorrow. Stay tuned for that.
With the same shot. Look, the same exact shot now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like poetry. It rhymes. I want everybody to just take this in. How very Bombad it is. But yeah, so Celebration live stream coming up. TNAP this week. TNAP, like the main show. Holy shit, do we have a lot of trailers to talk about? Stay tuned for that. KNR versus series May episode, obviously. Look forward to that. Darth Vader versus Shock T. And we obviously have May the 4th coming down the pipeline, as well as, good God, as well as Guardians of the Galaxy 3. All on the way. What are you doing? What is that?
I guess it's the gear that ignites his voice. Step away from the creature. If only we had batteries in here. And a speaker.
Listen, as much as I want to be your arch enemy still, as your friend, I don't think putting batteries in him in his current state will lead to anything but you getting electrocuted.
That's fair.
And I can't stand you dying before a potential rematch in Tokyo in 2025.
That's right. It's going to happen. I love that his neck is sort of snapped, too.
Oh, yeah. He's fucked. He is not in a good way right now. But anyway, thank you all so very much for watching and listening. Thank you to Scotty for joining us. Thank you for Scotty for also having myself and Taylor and the rest of the little goon squad in Baton Rouge. Shit I am fuck. Thank you.
I still beat you.
You did beat me.
For a second time.
Yes, you did. And it was my fault.
You lost.
I did. Also, Ionized Bastards and Epic Confrontations.
You lost.
I lost.
For a second time. Northridge. That's your new Alforna. Alfrona. I said Frona. Alfrona. Northridge. Anyway, I'm gonna make a phone call real quick.
Oh. I'm just gonna full screen you for this.
Yes, he fell for it.
Fell for what?
Have a great day, everyone. And remember to stay Bombad.